I'm 46 now, and it all started back when I was just 20 years old. That was when I found out my then-girlfriend cheated on me with my own brother. It was a betrayal that cut deep, and I remember the raw, burning anger and heartbreak like it was yesterday. I told my brother right then that he was dead to me, no longer my brother in any sense that mattered. Over the years, despite my clear stance, my family never cut ties with him. I made it clear that if they wanted to choose between inviting him or me to gatherings, they should choose him because I wasn't going to be in the same room with him ever. That's my line in the sand, my non-negotiable. Fast forward to the present, and here we are with my daughter getting ready to marry next spring. You'd think that time would heal all wounds, but some cuts are just too deep. My daughter recently sat me down and calmly dropped the news that she was inviting my brother and his family to her wedding. Yes, the very brother who backstabbed me and worse. He married that same ex-girlfriend of mine to add to the complexity. My daughter has been secretly building a relationship with them for the last 4 years behind my back. She even wants her cousin, my niece from that marriage, to be the flower girl. I was shocked and angry. I was living a nightmare hearing all this. My blood boiled as all those old wounds were ripped open anew. Couldn't help but react. I told her straight up about my boundaries. If my brother was invited, I wouldn't be there, nor would I pay for any part of the wedding. Predictably, this didn't go over well with her. She got angry, accusing me of holding on to the past and making her wedding about my old grudges. The argument escalated quickly, with voices raised and harsh words thrown. I was left in tears, but I stood my ground. My past was not being dismissed as just old baggage. As if the situation wasn't stressful enough, my ex-wife called me furious, calling me an idiot and saying our daughter was crushed by my stance. My parents also weighed in, echoing similar sentiments, telling me I was being unreasonable and needed to get over it. I shut down and stopped taking their calls. My current girlfriend, who's been a rock through this, gently suggested I reconsider my position. She warned that I might irreparably damage my relationship with my daughter over this. I am wrestling with a tangled mess of emotions. On the one hand, I've got my daughter's wedding, a milestone I should be part of. On the other, there's the deep-seated hurt and betrayal for my brother, something I've never truly gotten past. I am considering sticking to my boundaries, which are about respect, and I must decide whether to protect my peace or cave to keep the peace and potentially open old wounds. The situation has left me isolated from my family, yet I know that making a stand could cost me my relationship with my daughter. I am torn between my need to uphold my principles and my desire to be there for my daughter on her most important day. I am considering ways to be involved without directly confronting my brother. Brother, I want to contribute in a way that keeps me physically distant from the wedding. How do I even begin to navigate a conversation with my daughter that doesn't end in more tears and anger? I'm not the idiot for that. Before the update, I was the idiot. This is one of those stories where your daughter has decided that she's willing to alienate you for someone that betrayed your trust. It doesn't matter if it was 20 years ago. It only matters that it happened. She betrayed your trust. If she wants him there, he can pay. Ask your daughter and her fiancé how it would work if he cheated on her with her sister tomorrow and then moved on with the affair partner and decided to stay close to him. Everyone is quick to judge, but they don't know you and your situation. In terms of money, tradition, or anything else, you have the final say. I wouldn't pay either, given the secrecy. Your brother will show up, no doubt about it. He supported your daughter her whole life and made it clear that he doesn't want anything to do with his brothers. So, she betrays his trust and springs this on him while also expecting him to be a checkbook for her wedding. She's a grown woman. She can learn the consequences. It was probably the brother making sure your daughter likes him. I don't like the brother in this situation. I know I'm in the minority here, but I don't understand why your daughter decided to connect with someone who betrayed their father. Why not let sleeping dogs lie? I know many people won't agree with me, but if this causes an irreparable rift between you and your daughter, being right won't give you much comfort. I fully support you standing your ground, but remember that if you stand here, you'll miss out on your daughter's kids' birthday parties and other family events. Your family will cut you off and you'll have to accept that. It's been 26 years, longer than your daughter has even been alive. I understand being annoyed that your brother was invited, not wanting to talk or take pictures with him, etc. But giving up your relationship with your daughter is cutting off your nose to spite your face. Here's my question. Opie, your brother stole your girlfriend. Do you want him to steal your daughter from your grandchildren? If not, stop being an idiot and suck it up for one day. Update 1. It was just another Thursday, and I thought it was going to be a regular evening. I was wrong. The moment I turned my key in the lock and pushed the door open, I realized today was anything but normal. Right there in my own living room where I never expected to see my brother and his wife on my couch. Seeing them there made my heart skip a beat. My brother had backstabbed me years ago by cheating with my girlfriend, who he eventually married. But there they were, sitting casually as if they hadn't turned my world upside down. I stood frozen in the doorway, my keys still dangling in the door. What's going on here? I finally managed to ask, my voice sounding strange to my own ears. My daughter Lily was there too, looking like she was caught between wanting to hide and wanting to explain everything. She stood up quickly, a nervous smile plastered on her face. "Hey Dad, you're home early," she said, as if that was the biggest surprise. "Why are they here?" I asked, my eyes flicking between my brother and his wife, not believing this was really happening. "Dad, I invited them over," I said. "I thought it was time to sort things out, you know?" Before the wedding, Lily explained. Her voice was hopeful but shaky. "Sort things out," I repeated, incredulous. The room felt too small, the walls closing in as the anger started to bubble up inside me. "You think, after everything that happened, after what he did, we can just sort things out like it's nothing?" My brother, who hadn't said a word yet, finally spoke up. His voice was calm, too calm. "I know this is hard, but I just thought." I cut him off. I wasn't ready to hear whatever excuse he had. "You think this is just hard? You have no idea. You wrecked everything, and now you just show up in my living room like we're gonna have a nice little chat." Lily stepped in front of me, her hands up like she was trying to physically stop the fight before it got worse. "Dad, please just listen for a second. This is important to me. I want my wedding to be a day when our whole family comes together, not falls apart. This is not your family. My brother, I told you years ago that he's nothing to me, and you," I turned to his wife, "you're no better." The room fell silent for a moment, the tension so thick you could cut it with a knife. Lily's face crumpled, tears starting to form in her eyes. "Dad, why can't you just get over it? It's been years. Don't you see you're just holding on to old grudges?" Old grudges. I felt a laugh bubble up, but it was hollow and bitter. "These aren't just grudges. This is about respect and trust. He broke all of that, but I'm asking you as your daughter to try." Lily pleaded, her voice breaking. "I can't. Not with him." My voice was firm and final. I looked at my brother and his wife. "You need to leave now." "But Dad," Lily started. My voice boomed louder than I intended. There was a painful nobody moved for a moment. Then my brother and his wife slowly got up. They didn't say another word as they walked to the door. However, my daughter's eyes stayed on me, hurt and accusing. She whispered, "You're going to regret this." A tear rolled down her cheek. "You're choosing your pride over your own daughter." The door shut behind them, and the sound echoed in the empty room. I stood there, my heart racing, my emotions a tangled mess. Was I right to send them away? I had pushed my daughter away over a feud that should have been buried long ago. Now the house was silent. It felt like a gaping hole had been opened up right in the middle of my family. I knew I had to fix it. I had handled it poorly. I should have listened for Lily's sake. I had to calm down. My heart was racing. I realized this was far from over. The road to my daughter's wedding was going to be a rocky one. I had just made it even rockier. Update 2. My daughter Lily's wedding is getting closer every day. It felt like the walls were starting to close in on me. Everything seemed to be spiraling out of control. Ever since I kicked my brother and his wife out of my house, I thought I had seen it all. But things were about to get even more intense. One afternoon, I was in the garage working on a new woodworking project when my phone buzzed. I wiped the sawdust off my hands and checked it. My parents' name flashed on the screen, and I answered, hoping they just wanted to chat. I was wrong. As soon as I said hello, I could hear the disappointment in my dad's voice. "You've really done it this time," he said, his words heavy with frustration. "Your mother and I can't believe how you treated your brother and his wife. You're acting like a jerk. You know that, right?" Hearing him say that felt like a slap in the face. I leaned against the workbench, my grip tightening on the phone. "Dad, come on. You know the whole story. How can you expect me to just forget everything and act like nothing happened? It's been over 25 years. He made a mistake back then, but people change. You're holding on to this grudge, and it's tearing the family apart." I tried to stay calm, but it was difficult. "You're the one who caused this rift when you betrayed me before I could respond." My mom took the phone from my dad. Her voice was softer, but it still carried a sharp edge of criticism. "Listen, we love you, but you need to hear this. You're being your daughter wants her uncle at her wedding. You're hurting her with your stubbornness. You need to see that the call ended without any goodbyes, with just a lot of harsh words hanging in the air." I hung up the phone feeling a mix of anger and sadness. Jessica, my girlfriend, had been in the doorway listening. She came over, her face full of concern. "You know, maybe they don't understand, but I do," Jessica said, wrapping her arm around me. Her support felt like a lifeline in a "there's got to be a way to handle this that doesn't end with you or Lily getting hurt." Her words were a small comfort, but they didn't solve the big problem. I couldn't stand the thought of seeing my brother at Lily's wedding acting like everything was okay. Then there was Lily, my daughter who I loved more than anything. She had been calling almost every day, her voice more and more upset each time. "Dad, please," she would say, her voice desperate. "This isn't just about you or Uncle Mike. It's my day. Don't you want to be there for me? It's not just about you or Uncle Mike. It's my day. You should be there for me. Please." It made my heart heavy. Was I really going to let my past with my brother ruin one of the happiest days of her life? But on the other hand, how could I just stand there and pretend everything was fine with the man who hurt me so deeply as the wedding day drew nearer? The pressure kept mounting. I'd lie awake at night, the house quiet around me, wrestling with I had to decide whether to stick to my principles and refuse to go, or to face my brother and risk hurting myself again. It felt like a lose-lose situation. I spent hours pacing back and forth in my living room trying to find a solution. I had to find a way to be there for Lily without having to interact with my brother. I had to find a way to be there for Lily without having to interact with my brother. The more I thought about it, the more complicated it seemed. The clock was ticking, and with every passing day, the decision weighed heavier on me. I was stuck between a rock and a hard place, and I needed to find a way out before it crushed me. Update 3. As the days leading up to Lily's wedding flew off the calendar, I braced myself every time the phone rang or someone knocked on the door. I was half expecting more drama, but then something completely unexpected happened that turned the whole situation around. One quiet afternoon, I was out back in the garden, just me in the weeds, trying to get my mind off things. That's when I heard the front door open and close. I figured it was Jessica getting back from somewhere, but then I heard a voice that stopped me in my tracks. "Dad, are you out here?" It was Lily. I straightened up, brushing dirt off my knees, and turned around to see. She was walking towards me with a serious look on her face, and I could tell she had something on her mind. "Hey kiddo," I said, trying to sound calm even though I was anything but. She took a deep breath as she reached me, letting it out slowly like she was about to lift a heavy weight off her shoulders. "Dad, we need to talk." We sat down together on the edge of the porch, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows on the ground. She reached out and took my hand, a gesture that brought back memories of her childhood, when a handhold could make everything better. "I'm really sorry, Dad. I should have talked to you first before springing that meeting on you. I handled things with Uncle Mike and his wife poorly. I understand why you did it, Lily, but it was tough for me." I squeezed her hand gently. "I understand why you did it, Lily, but yeah, it was tough for me. Dad, I've been thinking about everything, and I've decided that Uncle Mike and his wife won't be coming to the wedding. I want you there. It's more important that you're there, and I don't want anything to spoil that." This was the last thing I expected to hear. For a moment, I was at a loss for words. Are you sure about this? I don't want you to feel you have to choose. You can't miss out on having other family because of me. She shook her head. Dad, this is what I want. It's not just about taking sides. It's about celebrating the day with love and the family that supports us and builds us up, not the ones that might bring us down. We spent a long time talking that afternoon. We talked more openly than we had in a while. We talked about the wedding details, about our family, and about how we both saw the future. We fixed old bridges that had been damaged by the time she left. I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. I didn't realize I was carrying that weight until it was gone. Mike and his wife didn't attend the wedding. The family reacted in different ways. Some were relieved. Others were upset. I was focused on making sure Lily's day was perfect. I didn't let past hurts affect it. As she drove away that day, I felt a sense of calm about the upcoming wedding. This was a step towards healing for all of us. It wouldn't be quick or easy, but we were on a path that could lead to mending, not just for me and Lily, but for the whole family. We would take it one step at a time. We were finally on a smooth path to Lily's wedding. Then one of those unexpected curveballs came flying our way. It was one of those sunny afternoons, the kind where you wouldn't expect any drama. I was just fixing up a snack in the kitchen when my phone rang. It was an old family friend, someone who'd been more in touch with my brother's side of the family than mine. I answered without hesitation, ready for whatever came next. The friend started off by saying, "Mike wants to come to Lily's wedding." I was already leaning against the counter, feeling a knot form in my stomach. I braced myself for whatever was coming next. The friend sighed heavily before continuing. "Mike's got an ulterior motive. His son, your nephew, is getting married soon too. But here's the kicker. Most of the family has shunned that wedding because of Mike pulled a stunt on you years ago, and they haven't forgiven him. It's caused a rift." I felt a mix of anger and disbelief. This was what it was all about. My brother wasn't trying to mend old wounds for the sake of family unity. He was trying to fix his own image to ensure his son's wedding wasn't a flop. He figured that if he could get back on good terms with you at Lily's wedding, maybe the friend added, sounding as disappointed as I felt after the call. I sat down at the kitchen table, the news sinking in. It felt underhanded, and I knew I had to tell Lily when she came over later that day. I explained everything, watching her face fall as she processed the news. It was heart-wrenching. "Dad, why can't things just be simple? Why does everything have to have an angle?" Lily's voice cracked. With emotion, it was clear she felt manipulated. A mere chess piece in her uncle's game. I reached out and pulled her into a hug, offering comfort. "I'm sorry, kiddo. Life throws these weird curves at us sometimes. But remember, we're in this together. Your wedding is about you and your happiness. It's not about anyone else's games." Lily nodded, her eyes glistening with tears. "It's just so frustrating, Dad, to think that he would use my wedding for his own games. Wedding, something so important to me. I had to fix his own mistakes." We spent a lot of time talking that evening. It was a deep, sometimes painful conversation, but by the end of it, Lily seemed a bit calmer. The disappointment still lingered, but we reaffirmed our decision together. Mike and his wife would not be invited to the wedding. This decision was now about more than just old wounds. It was about integrity and genuine intentions, both of which Mike seemed to lack. Word of Mike's real motives spread quickly within the family. The family's reaction was a mix of outrage and support for our decision. Most family members felt even more strongly that Lily and I were doing the right thing. They were upset on her behalf and angry that her uncle would stoop so low as to use her special day for his own benefit. As the wedding day drew nearer, I felt a renewed sense of protectiveness and pride in how Lily was handling everything. Sure, there were likely to be more challenges ahead, but this twist had only strengthened the bond between us. I was more determined than ever to keep the wedding focused on what truly mattered, celebrating Lily and her future surrounded by people who loved her genuinely, without any hidden agendas or ulterior motives. Every night as I went to bed, I thought about how lucky I was to have such a strong and smart daughter. Whatever came our way, I knew we'd face it together, just like we always had. Update 5. As Lily's wedding day got closer, things seemed to be calming down. But we were in for a bit more drama before Lily was upset and betrayed by her Uncle Mike's sneaky plan. She wasn't going to let it go. She needed to confront him and his wife about their real reasons for wanting to come to her wedding. One chilly evening, Lily sat down with Uncle Mike and his wife at our local coffee shop. She was nervous but determined to get some answers. She asked them straight up why they were so keen on coming to her wedding, especially when they hadn't. Uncle Mike was a big part of her life lately. He tried to dance around the question, giving half answers and trying to smooth things over, but Lily wasn't having any of it. She could tell he wasn't being fully honest, and it just made her more upset. She felt like she hadn't gotten the truth from them directly, so she decided to take a big step. She made a video and posted it on social media, explaining the whole situation. She talked about how she found out that Uncle Mike was trying to use her wedding to she made a video and posted it on social media explaining the whole situation. She talked about how she found out that Uncle Mike was trying to use her wedding to fix his own family problems because many relatives were still mad at him for what he did years ago. She explained how this made her feel used and hurt. The video quickly went viral within our community and family circles. People were really supportive of Lily. They stood by her and were shocked at Uncle Mike's actions. It seemed like Uncle Mike's plan didn't just fail, it made things worse for him. Now even more family members decided they didn't want to go to his son's wedding. Uncle Mike's wedding was a disaster. He acted inappropriately, and the family drama intensified. People took sides, and there were heated discussions at family gatherings and online. It was clear that the family was divided. Uncle Mike called me a few days after the video went out. He sounded genuinely remorseful, more so than I'd ever heard him before. I wanted to make things right for my son, but I realize now that trying to use Lily's wedding was a mistake. He told me I could tell he was genuinely regretful, but for a lot of people it was too little, too late. Despite all this, Lily's wedding day arrived, and it was a beautiful sunny day, perfect for a wedding. There was still a bit of tension in the air because of all the family stuff, but we all tried to put it aside and focus on Lily and her big day. She looked absolutely stunning, and as she walked down the aisle, all smiles and glowing, I felt a wave of relief. We were all there for her, and that's what mattered. The way was gorgeous, full of laughter, dancing, and lots of cake. For a day at least, the family drama was put on hold. Everyone was happy to celebrate Lily and her new start. After the wedding, things didn't magically go back to normal in our family. The rifts were still there, and it felt like it might take a long time for some wounds to heal. But what mattered was that Lily had a wonderful wedding day, and she knew she had the support of many family members who respected her and stood by her decision. This whole situation taught us a lot about being honest and standing up for what you believe in. It was messy and painful at times, but it also brought some of us closer together. We realized how important it is to support each other and to be clear about our intentions. For Lily, it was a lesson in handling tough situations with grace and strength. Last update: as we left the town hall that day, the air felt different, almost electric, with the raw emotions and revelations that had unfolded. Everyone lingered a bit, hesitant to part ways too quickly after such intense exchanges. The conversations that started inside spilled out onto the steps, with family members forming small clusters, talking earnestly. Lily stayed close to me. Her earlier apprehension was replaced by a thoughtful, more hopeful expression. Dad was overwhelming, but I think it was what we needed. It's strange, isn't it, how much we didn't know, how much pain could have been avoided. I nodded, squeezing her shoulder gently. Yeah, it's a lot to take in, but you're right. It's like we've been carrying around pieces of a puzzle without even knowing it. Today, we finally started putting them together. I could see similar moments unfolding. Aunt Clara was deep in conversation with Mike. Both of them looked more at ease than they had in years. Their discussion seemed heartfelt, with nods and the occasional hand on a shoulder. It was clear that while the path to forgiveness might be long and bumpy, the commitment to make it work was there. Meanwhile, my cousin, whose unexpected arrival had added yet another layer to our family story, was now surrounded by younger family members eager to hear more about the overseas life and the insights that had led them back to us at such a crucial time. Their stories were filled with adventures, and the wisdom of distance added a lighter note to the gathering, reminding us all of the bonds that still held strong despite everything. The crowd slowly started to disperse. Lily and I walked towards our car. The setting sun cast long shadows, and the cool breeze hinted at the coming of fall. You know, Dad, I think today changed a lot of things for us for the better. Lily mused, her voice reflective. It did. I agreed, feeling a mix of pride and relief. I'm proud of you, kiddo. It took a lot of courage to face all this head-on and push for honesty and openness. Lily smiled, looking up at the sky. The sky was tinted with hues of orange and pink. It's going to be okay, I said, as we reached the car and paused, looking back at the town hall bathed in the golden light of the setting sun. We're moving forward, and that's what matters. Healing is a journey, and today was a big step on that path. Whatever comes next, we'll handle it together. We'll handle it together as a family. As we drove away, the town hall shrinking in the rearview mirror, I felt a sense of closure and a new beginning. The secrets that had once threatened to tear us apart were now out in the open. In their place, a tentative hope had taken root. The past may shape us, but it doesn't have to define us. Our family, with all its complexities and imperfections, was slowly finding its way back to each other. We'll do it one honest conversation at a time.